You know, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what we just watched. Max Verstappen, as near as makes no difference, qualifying alongside Checo Perez. What is going on at Red Bull? Because the story of qualifying at the Monza Grand Prix, at the Italian Grand Prix even, and the Monza circuit is rooted in Red Bull. But there is others, of course. That McLaren, of course, looking super quick yet and still market leading pace. Why? Well, because Lando Norris said that they had pace in hand, that his lap wasn't even perfect. You only need to go and look at his exit out of the first chicane. Again, oversteer settings. There was time still left on the table if you are Lando Norris. Again, though, speaking to the strengths of that papaya coloured car, Lesmo, you only need to see Lesmo, the combined exit out of Lesmo 2. They have looked super grippy as far as their front end all race weekend, and the exit out of Lesmo 1, but particularly Lesmo 2, and the lap time gained was always going to be proof positive of just how quick that papaya coloured car is, particularly in the hands of one Lando Norris. Lando said post-quali that as versus Mercedes, he didn't think that the gap between him and George Russell's Mercedes was as material as is the delta in qualifying, but he says that his lap was just fundamentally better. George Russell had this to say of the prospects of winning a race Grand Prix tomorrow. He reckons that his best opportunity to nab Messrs Piastri and Lando Norris, Piastri of course locking out the front row for the papaya coloured car, is indeed gapping him off the start, speaking to the weakness that Lando Norris has had over the past few races, getting off the line and getting to the end of lap 1 in first place when he's put it on pole. He needs to nail it right. No more talk about getting off the line as far as the launch. No more talk about the ineptitudes, changing gear from first to second. This is now or never time for McLaren. The gap in the constructors is diminishing, but the gap in the Drivers' Championship is all that anybody was talking about, as at the time of writing it is 70 points, and McLaren now need to have a conversation with themselves in earnest about effecting team orders, do they not? Here's what George Russell had to say, that he needs to get off the line super quickly. And the question came back from Nico Rosberg to Zach Brown. Are you thinking about team orders now? Is it now or never for both the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors? But the drivers being the priority, being since that's all that anybody cares about. Zach Brown said, but now that we know where we are in quali, we're going to have to go away and have some conversations. I will have a chat with Andrea Stella and we have a conversation with the drivers. We need to know now more than ever what the plan is going forward. Lando Norris too was asked about the team T word being team orders. Do you need team orders as far as Oscar Piastri is concerned going into turn 1 because of the fact that you keep dropping the ball at your starts? Lando was non-committal. He said that he wants to race, but Lando needs to put on his big boy pants now. This is serious. Why? Well, because Red Bull are nowhere. Red Bull have lost the plot. They don't understand. We heard Christian Horner after post-race at last Grand Prix, the Dutch Grand Prix, say that they need to go away and understand. And that was concerning for Red Bull and Max Verstappen fans. Why? Because they don't even know. They are lost at sea, lost battalion settings. It's one thing to know what's wrong and then go away and solve for it. But that's step 2 and 3 for Red Bull. Christian Horner told you in earnest that we need to go away. Again, he reiterated for his comments post Grand Prix last time out. He says we need to go away and understand what's wrong with the car before we then go and institute for the solution. Before the third step, we go and solve for it. What is going on? Jos Verstappen told us many moons ago that if Christian Horner continues in his role at Red Bull as team principal, that this team will implode. And what's going on now before our eyes is surely nothing if not implosion. The car is bonkers. How is Max Verstappen? How is he qualifying so low? Max Verstappen, 3 soon to be 4-time champion, man who gapped the rest of the field in Austria. There needs to be causality and we need to understand this root cause. Lest we forget, Earlier on in the session on scrub tyres, Max Verstappen qualified. He put in a time of 1:19.6. How then, in the paid session, the real one that counts Q3, how then is Max Verstappen's lap a 1:20.0 on fresh red labelled soft compound tire? This makes no sense. Is this how bad the balance of the RB20 is? Is this the extent to which Red Bull and Christian Horner and Vacher and Balber, is this the extent of their lack of their understanding? This makes no sense. A 1:20.0 when on scrub tyres earlier in Q2, Max Verstappen nailed a 1:19.6. What is going on? They don't understand. I don't understand. This makes no sense. And they says also, well, Max Verstappen is a fast car merchant. Behave yourself. You know that Max Verstappen is a good driver. I can't even engage that nonsense meaningfully. The story here is what's gone on at Red Bull. Now, tinfoil hat wearers will talk about asymmetric braking, the inertia valve. But again, it's not conclusive, right? We can't be so definitive. What has happened, however, is that Red Bull have lost pace, not necessarily on the rest of the field, not named McLaren or Mercedes, but they have absolutely lost pace. The dominance that was there in the first 5 races of the season is no longer, and Max Verstappen is paying a penalty. We have, per Peter D. Windsor, ourselves a drivers' championship. Oh, the humanity. And Jos Verstappen keeps telling Red Bull that they should have fixed the bloody car when they had the opportunity, when Max Verstappen was telling them about the fundamental flaws. Check out Max Verstappen's post-quali comments also. He's told them again, the car has fundamental flaws. What we lack for is balance. And that's why on scrub tyres, he was quicker, half a second than he was in Q3 on a fresh set of red labelled compound tyres. What is going on? This makes absolutely no sense. And how's it going to pan out for the race now? That was the question pitched at Max Verstappen. Surely it bodes well for Red Bull if you were quick on the scrubs for the race, therefore. Tyre degs should not be an issue. Max responded with doom and gloom settings. He says, listen, the balance of the cars, it's not going to rectify all of a sudden overnight. Parc Fermé settings, what are we going to change for? We're going to go out and have the same problems as far as balance, as far as understeer. The exact same problems that we had on the long run simulations is what we're going to have tomorrow. Ergo, Max Verstappen is concerned. There's not much he can do. His hands are tired. The oldest truism in F1 history is that if you don't have a car capable of winning races and championships, then it doesn't matter how god tier you are as a peddler. There is nothing that you can do in the face of physics. Max Verstappen, Houston, Red Bull have themselves a problem. The gap in the drivers' championships is currently 70 points even between Messrs Norris and Verstappen. One can only imagine what that will look like at the end of the season. It will be less than 70 points. One's hoping for Lando Norris's, from his point of view, that the gap, if indeed he loses to Maximilian Verstappen, will be less than the 7 points that he gave away to Oscar Piastri at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Oh, the humanity.